Alright guys, today I'm doing the coolant flush on my 2007 Ford Edge all-wheel drive. Please forgive that it's a little bit dirty. I'll also be changing out the thermostat, and since I'm going ahead and drain the coolant anyways, it'll be easier to take that off and won't be spilling coolant. So first I'm going to have to get the vehicle. I'm going to raise it up on a couple blocks and then or drive it up onto a couple blocks so I can get a little more room to work underneath it. Okay, and so for the second part of this, after I do the drain of the coolant, I'm going to try to attempt to get this thermostat off. And usually what guys do, or what I've seen in like MKX Ford Edge videos, is just taking this whole air box off. But I think I can get it off, the thermostat out of there, without disengaging that whole setup. I'm going to use a set of coolant line clamp pliers. It's pretty sweet because you just click, 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 and then they lock in place until you release that. And they kind of a two-handed deal, but well, it's kind of hard to show this with just that hand. Push that, and then they open back up. So, yeah, pretty slick little gig. I'll just put these on, and I'll be able to open up that hose clamp. And then usually what the problem is with guys getting their thermostat out is it's hard for them to get that bottom bolt out of there. And once I have that hose out of the way, because I have the hose clamp off, then I will be able to get that out lickety-split with no problems. This is to get this drain plug out. It's a 19 millimeter, and it looks like there's actually an Allen head on that, so you can either use an Allen to take that off or a 19 millimeter socket. And then this is located on the bottom left part of your radiator. I should say your bottom driver's side, if you're laying underneath here like I happen to be right now. So yeah, once you start to take that out, you can't get that completely out. And I kind of deferred to a MKX Ford Edge video for that. But you can get it a little bit of the ways out of there. And then once you get it out, it kind of wants to stay in place. So it'll bleed the coolant out, but it won't actually completely that plug won't come out all the way. Okay, today I'm going to use these two items to catch the coolant that comes out. This is actually designed for catching automotive fluid. This is a lid, but it'll catch it nonetheless, because what happens on this is like right about dead center of the screen there is where the coolant will come out, but it'll that's where the plug is, on the driver's side, but it'll pour out. It'll kind of like run along the bottom line of the fan, and it'll come out basically that whole length. So you kind of have to have about 3 feet, 4 feet worth of catching stuff so it doesn't end up on the ground. And so what I'm going to like about this lid is it's going to kind of tuck nicely underneath this green catching pan. It looks like all I needed was just the green one. Yeah, I did that, and I cracked the lid on that to get airflow, otherwise the system's vapor locked, so it takes forever for it to drain. So if you crack that, it actually starts draining quite efficiently. It's an 8 millimeter if you have it. Metric hex head or Allen head. I have them on a 3/8 inch drive socket, but it actually doesn't fit all that great. If you actually had an 8 millimeter just standard Allen wrench, with the 90-degree bend and kind of like the longer handle, it would fit in, because I don't even think I could get a socket on this. I ended up just using my 19 millimeter gear wrench on the outside of the nut, not the inside. So you take your hose clamp pliers here. So I might remove this. Yeah. There we go. I guess this will double as how to remove a radiator hose too, huh? Okay. I'm going to remove this mass airflow sensor. Wiring harness. Oop. There we go. Lost you there for a moment. Just so I got a little more room to work in this program. Get this radiator out of the way. And as long as you've been draining your line, this shouldn't have too much fluid in it when you pop it off. But if it does continue to drain out like it is, it's actually an 8mm. I said 9 earlier, but I was wrong. Any mechanic out there, these gear wrenches are basically worth their weight in gold, as far as I'm concerned. And they get you out of a lot of binds. Slip over the end of the bolts, get you into tight places that you can't get a socket. This just goes to show you, though, you have the right tools for 2 of these jobs, and I can save myself a lot of hassle taking this air box off. And I guess it's only a couple clips and a hose clamp, but so what? Got the tools. There's one bolt. That do it. I'll save you guys the hassle of watching this and cut to putting the thermostat in. The thermostat I'm replacing it with. That's what it looks like. There's the one I have out, the line. Ended up dropping my wrench when I was taking this off. One of those bolts, and had to look for a little while. It ended up being on the ground. Thought it was in the engine somewhere. Yeah, this one's a little different. I don't know if you can see minor differences. So there's a rubber gasket in the center of that one, and this one's more like a stainless. But I mean, they wouldn't possibly send me home with the wrong part from O'Reilly's, would they? So yeah, it was oriented basically like that. This little vent hole is pretty much straight down at 6 o'clock, so that's when I reoriented that little vent hole back in. Make sure you spend the $2 extra to get a new gasket. You can see this one that I had on there was a little compressed already. So, but $2. I mean, you don't want to go through all this effort for $2 to go cheap on a gasket. Just make sure when you get a new thermostat, make sure it comes with a gasket and that you put it in. Replaced the thermostat, putting the hole down, put the hose and clamp back on, and putting those 8mm bolts in. It's kind of like what I refer to as one of those Raiders of the Lost Ark moments, where at the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones is putting that little golden statue head. He's trying to take it, and he puts a sandbag there, and you got to be careful with your hands. Well, obviously he blew that and then the rolling boulder came after him anyways. But you don't want to lose one of those 8mm bolts. That might be a challenge to find it down in there. Thankfully that didn't happen to me, but yeah, I got the thermostat in, new gasket in, then I put the plug back in down there, and put a gallon, is there a little fill thing on this? I don't know, maybe a gallon and a quarter, one of these. I have to run this for a little while. Hopefully that thing, we're not vapor locked here. Might need to belch a little bit, but you'll be able to know because an indicator should come on if it's low. But yeah, you can see obviously we're right there in the range. And the coolant looks way different in there now than this stuff I took out. It's a little murky, but it's partially because I use this for catching oil and stuff too. It's kind of hard to tell what if it's because of the corn or not. But let's see which one's the empty one. That's the empty one. So now I'm just gonna put my used stuff back in this one, mark it, and dispose of it. All the tools I got out for this job. Really the only ones you'll need, that's not even it, 8mm wrench, a radiator hose clamp, 19mm socket would work. So a 19mm gear wrench, an 8mm gear wrench, the hose clamps, and then a 19mm socket, which could, you know, obviously stand in the place of that. Or you got an 8mm Allen, like the traditional set that are like L-shaped. You can get the plug out without using the 19mm, so that would be handy. But doing the job the way I did it, you'll need the hose clamps, pliers, and an 8mm gear wrench, because anything else won't really fit there, and the gear wrench has enough of a turning radius where you can get those 8mm bolts out without any major problems. So yeah, those are the tools I used. I used Peak 50/50 pre-diluted, long life coolant, 150,000 mile, 5-year protection. I'll probably only run it maybe 80, 75, run it half that, then flush it again. But yeah, found this video helpful. Just yeah, subscribe to my channel. I got more Ford Edge videos. I got other stuff going on. Yeah, so like and subscribe if this helps you with your radiator fluid, your coolant swap, and thermostat replacement. Alright, take it easy guys. Have a good one.